The Terrifier franchise is one of the most brutal franchises in recent horror history. And so today I decided I would put all my reviews together and rank all the Terrifier movies from worst to best. Although I don't personally think any of them are really bad, I just think some are extremely better than others. So without further ado, let's get into it. Terrifier is a brutal slasher film that follows the horrific events of one Halloween night in 2017 as two young women become the prey of a terrifying and sadistic killer, Art the Clown. And the film is absolutely brutal. It's definitely a grindhouse horror movie which not a lot of people enjoy. I kind of think this whole trilogy is more of like a splatter trilogy, a mix of like torture, corn, and, you know, slashers, but that's just my opinion, and, you know, this is pretty much what this entire video is going to be. So, without further ado, let's talk about the original film, Terrifier. The movie begins with a disturbing TV interview featuring a disfigured woman who survived an attack by Art the Clown. She says that her killer pretty much just ruined her life, you know, I mean, and the TV interviewer isn't any nice, I must say. She is a pretty rude person. Like, literally the moment, like, Victoria gets off stage, she is just there and starts talking about how, like, disgusting and, like, horrifying and creepy she looks. She's like, kill me if I ever look like that. Well, so she gets, like, brutally killed by Victoria, and then we get to our leads. So, it's pretty much a year before this happens, and we follow Tara and Dawn. They're out celebrating on Halloween night. After a night of partying and getting absolutely wrecked, they encounter Art the Clown, a pale, silent figure dressed in a filthy black and white clown costume with a nice smile. You know, look at the guy. He's just a happy dude. The pair brush off the encounter, but later, when they find their car has a flat tire, they end up at a nearby abandoned building. And they stay in the car. Well, one of them does, Dawn does, well, Tara goes off to use the bathroom, and the clown sits in the car, and he's just like, yo, what's up? So yeah, inside the building, Tara talks to this electrician dude, and he's just like, alright, go over there, you know, do I need to come with you, you know? And then she's just like, no, you creep. So she goes to the bathroom, and once she's done using the bathroom, she comes outside, and she spots everyone's favourite clown, Pennywise, Art. And yeah, Art then, well, he does some fun stuff. So, Tara gets, like, nailed to a chair, and while she's just there, you know, looking forward, you know, watching the show, Art grabs a saw, and he reveals that Dawn is hanging upside down in her underwear, and then he grabs a saw, and he's just like, yeah, if you know what I mean, he just starts sawing away. I mean, look at that, like, happiness that he does this with. Like, I've had to blur half of this, but look at how happy Art the Clown is while doing this. He's just a fun guy. But yeah, Tara then fights back, and she gets away for a little bit. a little bit. But yeah, Art the Clown then eventually finds her, and he shoots her in the legs, knocking her down. But then, by God, he runs out of bullets. So he walks over, he grabs some more bullets while Tara's just lying there, not moving. He, like, you know, if my legs weren't working, I would literally still use my arms, and I would be, like, you know, like, how you move your arms while you're swimming? I would be doing that as fast as I could, just get away from him. But yeah, so he comes over, and he shoots her once, twice, a third time, and a bunch of other times that I couldn't be bothered to count. And he kills her. And at this point, Tara's sister arrives to pick her up, but she's unaware of what's happening inside. So he just continues his fun little game and he hunts her down, but then he sees the guy. The exterminator dude, so he kills him, and then he sees this lady who earlier in the film was like talking to this doll. I guess she thinks it's like her child. I don't know. But she walks over and she sees that Art the Clown's holding him, and she's just like, "Hey, that's my kid. Get away from it, you perv." So he then does some very wonderful things to her, and in the next scene we see Art the Clown walking up the, he's having a little fun rocking up the stairs, with her breasts on and her scalp on. Fun times. This is another one of those scenes that the movie's like really infamous for, just because, well, he cuts a woman's breasts off and he sticks them on. But yeah, so Art then just continues doing what Art the Clown does, and he has more fun. At some point he literally gets in a truck and then just like bursts through the damn building while playing some jazz. But ultimately he jumps on top of Victoria. I was about to say Veronica for some reason. He jumps on top of Victoria and he starts eating her face. Then some cops show up, they shoot him, and well, that's pretty much the end of the story, because that's where we get to a little bit later. And that's where Terrifier ends. I didn't go over every little plot point because I'm too lazy for that, but let's talk about the actual movie, because Terrifier is directed by Damien Leone, and it was released in 2016. It definitely, is a reinvention of some typical slasher movies with a very gruesome but fresh approach to it, you know? It's got the really cool killer Art the Clown in it, and he's probably one of my favourite slasher villains at the moment, especially after Terrifier 3. And it is unapologetically brutal. It offers no just promise that it's gonna stop at any point. From its opening scene, the film just says it doesn't care about subtlety or any tension. It's about the gore and the kills. In this sense, it definitely goes back to some older films which people thought were just like this, such as Friday the 13th or TCM, which in my opinion are both not about the kills. I feel this OG Terrifier movie definitely is though. And it's got a greater emphasis on the violence more than those movies. Art the Clown is the star of the show. He is played by the amazing David Howard Thornton. And he's just a silent antagonist. He's a mime, he is a clown, he is a demon thing. He doesn't laugh, he doesn't speak, he doesn't make any sound, yet his disturbing gestures and just gleeful way that he kills people is just really cool. His performance is definitely the way which I would want a mime, serial killer to in a movie, of course, not IRL. his performance is definitely the way which I want a mime serial killer to work, where they're just really giddy and really happy doing all of this stuff, and they don't speak, they don't laugh, they just are terrifying the whole time. The film's gore and practical effects are amazing, especially considering its really low budget. Director Damien Leone, who also handled the makeup and effects, he spares no expense when it comes to the blood and guts. And it definitely has several scenes that are not for the faint of heart, like the saw scene, the when Art puts on a woman's breasts, the two probably most infamous scenes in this movie, which once again leads on to the next movie, which has even more infamous scenes. And now the third movie has one scene which I think is gonna get it up there. And the film doesn't really have any narrative though, which is my main issue with the movie. It's really just gore for the sake of gore. Whereas 2, it has a story, it has characters which you can genuinely care about. Bit too much story for my liking, but still, this one is all gore, and the characters, they could literally be slabs of meat, and you just wouldn't care at all. You'd probably not notice, that we're not really watching Terrifier for the characters, we're watching it for the gore. Ultimately, this film's not for everyone. It's definitely just focused on the gore and the violence. It creates a minimalist plot and makes it really just polarizing within the horror community, as we've seen recently with the release of a new one. However, for fans of extreme horror and practical effects, and for fans of Art the Clown, this definitely stands out as one, like, the most memorable horror films of, like, recent years. Just because of how different it is from other films where, like, they'll try and steer away from too much violence. Like, the director of Spiral from the Book of Saw, I think, literally wanted to make that, like, a Saw movie without kills, which I was just like, what the hell? But yeah, it definitely lacks any narrative, though, which is definitely, like, not a good thing. You know, your movie has to have some sort of narrative. But ultimately, I still think this film's pretty cool. I still give it, like, a 6.5 out of 10, but it's not the best, and it's not the worst thing out there. So Terrifier 2 is the sequel to 2016's Terrifier, and it brings back the horrifying Art the Clown for round 2. You know, he's back for seconds, he's gonna eat more people's faces, maybe. He doesn't in this movie though, so, he's instead gonna hand out candy from people's heads. And this time, the film is following the aftermath of Art's supposed death and his gruesome return to haunt new victims on Halloween night. It expands on the brutality from the first movie, while introducing a mysterious supernatural element and a new final girl for us to follow, Sienna Shaw. And I think this movie is really cool. It does have a few issues though, specifically with how goddamn long it is. But I can deal with that, so let's get into this. The film opens with Art the Clown, who is once again played by the brilliant David Howard Thornton. He's resurrected himself in a morgue, and following his apparent death in the previous film after brutally murdering the coroner, Art repairs his damaged self by grabbing his eye and shoving it into his socket. And, well, he's off to work, I guess. His first victim is a laundromat guy who he kills because he's just sat there, you know, butt-ass naked, you know, playing patty cake with a imaginary supernatural figure called the Little Pale Girl, who seems to be connected to Art in some way. So while he's washing his clothes, he's just sat there butt-ass naked, just playing patty cake. And yeah, the focus then shifts to the Saw family. The Saw family, the Shaw family, I have a list, but I don't know how the hell to say that. But yeah, so Sienna Shaw, played by Lauren Lavera, who is brilliant in this role and even better in the third one, is a teenager recovering from the death of her father, who died from cancer a year prior, and he seemed like he knew a lot about Art the Clown, I can't lie. So Sienna is preparing for Halloween, and her younger brother Jonathan has become obsessed with the grisly tales of the Miles County Massacre and the Miles County Clown, Art the Clown. He believes that Art is responsible for a string of unsolved murders in... What the fuck? He just really likes Art the Clown for some reason. He's a weird dude in this movie. Like, you know, this is why you don't go on some parts of the internet as, like, a young child, because you will turn out messed up. What can I say? How do you think I got messed up? No, I'm joking. But yeah, so Art the Clown is doing his thing. Like, she has a weird dream involving Art the Clown, and it's really confusing and really weird. He grabs, like, a Tommy gun and just starts, like, shooting the hell out of people. If it's not a Tommy gun, I apologise, I know nothing about guns. I'm not American. Shout out to the Americans out there. But yeah, Art the Clown just kills a bunch of people at the cafe, and Sienna then, like, eats, like, bugs out of, like, a cereal box. It's all over the place. But yeah, Halloween night approaches, and Sienna has a really cool costume. It's, like, this costume based on a drawing which her late father left before his death. And he has cryptic drawings of Art the Clown, and, of course, this costume for Sienna. And I think it's cool. But yeah, Art then begins to kill people. He targets several new victims, including Sienna's friends. He mutilates them in increasingly grotesque and creative ways. For example, a guy has a shirt which, I'm sure every guy has in his closet, which says just a tip. And so Art the Clown does exactly as he said, and he cuts off just a tip. And then he just holds it there. Yeah, he cuts off a guy's cock. But yeah, then, well, we get the bedroom scene, which is probably both the most cool and disgusting kill in the whole franchise at this point, until the third one. Because Art the Clown brutally, like, skins, like, a person, he, like, what's the word called? Like, scalps someone, he then just continually stabs and cuts her and breaks her bones and stuff, and then he leaves the room, he gets salt and bleach, he comes back into the room, and he just starts pouring it over her. You know, he's having a good time just pouring the salt and bleach on her. Like, way to pour salt on the wounds, Art. Yeah? Anyone? But yeah, Art then just keeps doing his thing, and as Sienna is at a party where she gets drugged by her friend, yeah, that actually happens, her friend gives her drugs, which, you know, you should probably tell your friend you're gonna do that, because, I'm pretty sure her mum literally said no drugs, you know. What a bad mum. But yeah, then we get the awesome fight scene. So Sienna is supposedly killed, but she's then resurrected by a sword, and she uses her newfound strength to battle Art again before she decapitates him. And then in a mid-credit scene, Art's severed head is given birth to by Victoria, who survived the first movie and is now in a mental institution after, of course, the TV incident. Funny times. It definitely ups the ante, though, from the original. It's got more gruesome kills, a more deeper explanation of the supernatural elements, and a more developed protagonist in Sienna, but I can't do it with this goddamn runtime guide. This film is like 2.5 hours long. No horror film needs to be more than like an hour 45. I know the new one's 2 hours, but like, that was 2 hours for a good reason. It had new lore and also some really cool kills. But like, this movie, it definitely delivered on everything that fans of the original would expect. It definitely expanded the scope of the story, it had a way higher budget, and it offers more depth and world building than just random people getting killed by Art the Clown. Lauren Lavera's protagonist, Sienna, she was amazing. Absolutely standout performance there. I think that she definitely is just like the emotional core of this franchise now. Jonathan's just there. I don't really like him. Her transformation, though, from like an average teenager into just this like angel with a sword fighting a demonic clown was really cool. And she's not only like relatable in this movie, but she's also really resilient for being extremely high while she was fighting Art the Clown. I would probably sit in the corner of the room in fear. But of course, this is not without the turn of Art the Clown. You know, it's got Art the Clown. He's absolutely awesome. He's played by David Howard Thornton. Once again, phenomenal acting. He uses Art's silent but exaggerated expressions to absolute perfection. He's able to create a great aura for Art the Clown. And he's definitely the kind of villain who just revels in his gruesome work, and the sequel doesn't shy away from showing just how far he can go. And neither does the third one. Jesus Christ. The kills in the movie are definitely, without a doubt, some of the most brutal and just shocking in recent horror cinema. It definitely takes things to a whole new level, with extended sequences of mutilation that just push how far like a rating could go, which is why most of these films are unrated. And it definitely just shows how good the practical effects done by Damien Leone are. And that then leads me to my problem with the movie. It's got too much story in there, and I know that my main criticism with the first movie was there was too little. This one just feels like they tried shoving all of the story into this movie too fast. And so that's why the film just felt bloated and way too long. But I still think it's a pretty cool movie nonetheless. And I do think that if he maybe got a different editor for the movie who wasn't biased because he literally made the movie, it would have been a lot better. But yeah, ultimately, it is a wild movie that is, once again, not for the faint of heart. Probably more than the first movie. It's got more gore, more kills, and a bigger, more ambitious story that sort of falls flat for me, but I know a lot of people really like it. Art the Clown is still as terrifying and memorable as ever. He definitely cements himself as a modern horror icon. Lauren Lavera Sienna is a fantastic addition to the franchise and horror in general. I love to see her in more franchises. Please, I beg, add Lauren Lavera to Scream 7. That said, the film's runtime is once again just my issue with the movie, though. It's just way too long. And I don't need, like, a kill to go on for, like, 6 bloody minutes. Ultimately, though, this is a must-see horror film. You don't even need to really see the first movie for this one, but, you know, you'll understand it more if you do. And ultimately, it's a full-on slasher epic, and Art the Clown is here to stay, hopefully for many more years after Terrifier 3 and Terrifier 4. Maybe we can get some Victoria spin-off, I don't know. But yeah, I give this movie like a 7 out of 10. It is probably my second favourite of the franchise. So Terrifier 3 is the third film in the Terrifier franchise, and it's absolutely insane. Like, out of all the movies that I've watched this year, besides maybe The Substance, because that was rough, you can check out my review for that, by the way, just up here. This was probably one of the most intense and just, like, gory movies I've seen in a long time. Not only is it just absolutely disgusting, it's just really, like, intense in the way that it does the kills. And at the end of the day, you know, it's Art the Clown doing what Art the Clown does, and what Art the Clown does is what I like. So, let's get into the video. As I said, this is the third movie in the Terrifier franchise. And if you don't know what they are, it's pretty much a bunch of brutal movies where this clown dude goes around brutally chopping people's up. Hack, slash, hang, whatever the hell the Ice Nine Kills song is. Yeah, Ice Nine Kills made a song for this movie. Yeah, it bangs. Yeah, there's a music video. Will I review it? Maybe. And, you know, this film is just insane. But going back to what I was saying, if you don't know what Terrifier is, it basically follows Art the Clown and pretty much just random characters as he goes around brutally murdering people around them and, well, them as well. It's an absolutely insane franchise from the mind of Damien Leone, who brought us this movie, and I'm gonna say, someone needs to check if that man's okay after this movie, because, I don't know how, how can you make something like this and still be alright mentally? I mean, yeah, good on it. But let's actually talk about the movie for a second, rather than me just complimenting some random guy. So, this movie is amazing. If you like horror movies, you'll love this. If you like Terrifier movies, you'll love this. If you can handle gore, you'll love it even more. You know, there are just some parts of this movie where I was like, how the hell was this allowed to play in a cinema? How was this allowed to be released? Especially in the UK, because our rating system is screwed. Like, you know, we've seen films like the mighty old Hostel, where it's pretty much just, like a corn film for like half the movie, then it turns into a torture movie. And we've seen other films like Saw. I've got all the Saw films. I can't be bothered to pick them up, though. I already had to reach all the way over here for Hostel. We've seen it with Saw. We've seen it with Hostel. We've seen that gore is, like, a big part of horror at this point. It's pretty much part of horror's identity. And sure, it's always been around, but not with, like, this level of intensity in, like, a film which everyone's wanted to go watch, which I think is amazing. It's amazing to see so many people wanting to go out and watch an indie horror film. Because this was made on, I believe, a budget of like 2.5 million, which is an indie movie. I'm just saying, you know, at this point, anything less than 100 million is an indie movie. Because basic movies now are like 200 million, which is ridiculous. And sure, you know, there's a thing to be said that Art the Clown is becoming a horror icon now, which I wholly agree with, especially after this movie. This is probably my favourite of the franchise. And I am just excited to see where it goes. I would love to see maybe Art the Clown in like an Easter setting, maybe like a Halloween setting again. We saw that with the first and second movie. I mean, hell, Thanksgiving is just around the corner. Why not give us a Terrifier movie on Thanksgiving? It worked in Thanksgiving, but, you know, that's kind of the point of that movie. And sure, I mean, there's a lot to be said that these movies aren't for everyone. France banned them for minors, which, like, You know, fair enough. I think that's fair enough, because the gore in these movies is bloody mental. Like, sure, there's a thing which you could also say where, like, you know, maybe they shouldn't be showing this amount of gore, if a child could go watch it. Piss off. Yeah, I legally count as a child still, and this didn't faze me. I don't know if that says something about me, but still. I think the only scene in this movie which I found kind of uncomfortable is a scene which a lot of people have also found uncomfortable. Hell, it made 9 people leave during the premiere of this movie in London, which was of course the opening, because of a certain aspect of the opening which I will talk about in a spoiler review maybe later. And I'm not going to say what happens until then, but I wasn't expecting it. Didn't. Well, I kind of thought it would happen, but, like, I didn't expect it to, actually happen. And that will make sense when I talk about it in the spoiler review, but there's so many parts of this movie which are, like, utterly insane. I mean, will I put it on, like, the same level as Terrifier 2 gore-wise? Yes. Will I say there's a kill which is worse than the alley kill in Terrifier 2, which of course is a bedroom scene kill? Maybe. I'd say maybe the shower scene is slightly above that in my opinion, just because we got several appendages and body parts flying everywhere, and several private parts flying everywhere. And, that's always fun for the whole family around Christmas time, especially while you're watching this movie. I mean, I am praying that they just, like, the moment this, like, finishes at cinemas, they release physical media for it around Christmas. Because I will genuinely, like, sit my family down and force them to watch this. But if we're talking seriously, though, the acting in the movie as well is really well done. David Howard Thornton, once again, gives an amazing performance as just Art the Clown. He is just chilling. He's also just really funny, but at the same time terrifying. I mean, that's the point of the movies, but, like, he's a chill guy. He's Art. He's sure he's killing a bunch of people, but he's chill. He's a cool dude. I'd get a drink with him. I was talking about it with some guys in my class the other day. If you can't fight them, join them. That's the way to be Art the Clown. You walk up to him, you go, mate, I want to kill with you. And he just lets you do it as well. But, I mean, Lauren Lavera as well, she gave an amazing performance once again. I believe their name is Elliot Fullman as well, who is playing the brother. Oh my god, what's his name? Oh, I can't remember. But, yeah, he did a great job in this movie, and all the other actresses and actors and everyone else in this movie did amazing jobs. And overall, I think this film is one of my favourites of the franchise now. It's gonna be my number 1 when I ultimately rank these movies after my spoiler review tomorrow or later today, depending on if I can be bothered to record it. And yeah, that are pretty much my thoughts on Terrifier 3. I give this movie like an 8 out of 10. It is phenomenal for just like an indie horror, and just a movie like this to get recognition like it is. And we got a bloody Ice Nine Kills song along with it, featuring Chavo from System of a Down. You know these movies are going somewhere. So it's been just over a week now since Terrifier 3 has officially released, and I've seen it twice now, and I wanted to give my spoiler review for the movie because I took like a 5-day break from uploading last week because I just couldn't be bothered to record. So yeah, Terrifier 3 is a really brutal continuation of the last few movies, and I think it is probably the best of the trilogy. Now, it definitely is similar to the other two, story-wise, gore-wise, but this is a little something that I prefer more for some reason. I don't personally know why, but this was shot better, edited better, and it's overall just such a better movie, so let's get into this. So, the movie, which kills a few kids, opens with Art the Clown doing just that, and yeah, I didn't need to see that, but oh well. Yeah, thankfully you don't see any of the cherry tango seeping out of the kids' bodies. Yes, I have to say that because I don't think I can talk about blood coming out of a kid's body within like the first minute of the video, but I just did it anyway, so I don't really care anymore. Alright, so yeah, he kills like a kid his parents, and then it's implied that he kills another kid in this scene. Which, you know, the movie's right away telling you, we don't give a damn anymore, which, you know, goes towards my argument the other day when I was talking about the controversies of this movie. Go check that out. And yeah, the story then goes back 5 years, and it shows Victoria Hayes, the surviving victim of the last two movies, giving birth to Art the Clown's head, of course, which was the last scene in the last movie. And his headless body continues to just kill people. And Victoria, who is now a deranged and haunted thing. I don't know if she's a zombie, is she still alive? I'm unsure, but yeah, she teams up with Art and they murder their way through the asylum and they kill Chris Jericho. You know, I don't think he's the best actor, he bloody sucks at acting, but it was cool to see him in the movies. But yeah, 5 years later, we're back in present day, and Sienna, the heroine from the last movie, has been released from a psychiatric hospital because she was experiencing some PTSD due to, well, the massacre. Well, the second massacre in a year, but you know, this was her massacre. And yeah, so she's living with her aunt, her uncle, and her younger cousin. And she looks up to Sienna with, you know, admiration because apparently they used to cause trouble together. And, you know, Jonathan's there for all of, like, 10 minutes in the movie until he just sort of disappears randomly. I'll get to him later, but yeah, I really disliked his character in the movie. He shows up, he moans to Sienna that she should go on this podcast, and he leaves. Like, he just pisses off. Which, like, you know, I didn't really enjoy him in the last movie as a character, but his actor's a good actor for, like, this kid that he's playing. Like, I wanted more of him. Oh, well, though. But yeah, so Sienna is trying to move on with her life. She's still haunted with visions of her deceased friends. And she's even seeing her dad, who is not Art the Clown. He is just some guy. So yeah, Art and Victoria then wake up from their 5 year slumber, and they waste no time in killing more people. Because Art goes and kills a Santa Claus, which was one of my favourite kills of the movie, because he genuinely seems like he's a big fan of Santa Claus. It's either that or he's just, like, psychotic, which we all know is true, alright? But I'm just gonna go with the fact that Art the Clown's a big fan of Santa Claus. And yeah, we do then get more flashbacks revealing things about Sienna's past, her close relationship with her father, and he once created the design for the costume that she wore in Terrifier 2. And, you know, he seems to know an awful lot about all of this. Suspicious. And yeah, Sienna's journey then brings her to her brother's college, where she meets his roommates, Cole and Mia. Mia is obsessed with Art the Clown, and she is genuinely really annoying. She is your typical crime podcaster who doesn't care about the victims of anything and genuinely just cares more about making money and getting some stupid story out there. It reminds me of the guy who's recently made, like, the Monsters, like, TV show. He just really doesn't give a damn about, like, actual story. He just cares about making money. But yeah, she's, like, really obsessed with Art the Clown for some reason, because, as we all know, they love to profit off of poor victims. So, and, well, she gets her wish granted because she gets to meet him while she's banging her boyfriend in the shower. So yeah, they're having a little love-making session in the shower, and then Art the Clown comes in with a bloody chainsaw. She got a pretty tame death compared to her boyfriend, who got his bits and bobs sawed up. This is definitely, like, gonna be maybe more infamous than maybe the bedroom scene. Maybe more infamous than the hacksaw scene if you give this movie a little more time to brew. You know, it's like a good cup of coffee. I don't drink coffee, but I'm just gonna roll with it. You gotta let it brew. And yeah, Art's rampage then leads him to Aunt Jessica's home, where everyone's just, you know, having fun. And, well, yeah. Sienna wakes up tied to a chair. She finds her uncle's body, like, tied to a wall. Aunt Jessica's there as well. And there's a head, which, yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a second. So, it's actually revealed that the head is Jonathan's, which I don't know how I feel about, because we barely got the kid in this movie, yet somehow there was time for them to kidnap him, kill him, and do all that jazz. I would have made, if you're gonna kill him, at least have it on screen. Show us Art the Clown skinning this guy alive. Don't, wimp out at the last second. Spiral from the Book of Saw had a better skinning scene than this movie. But hey, at least we got Victoria masturbating with a bit of glass. But yeah, so that's pretty much where, the film ends, because Art is wounded by Sienna, but he is not defeated, and he escapes, leaving Sienna devastated. And the film ends on a cliffhanger with him just sat on a bus, just, having a little fun zoom the way. And, yeah, this was probably, as the director said, this is their Empire Strikes Back of, Terrifier, because the heroes lose. I definitely think that it's going to be cool to see what they do with Terrifier 4, and probably Terrifier 5, because the director said, he knows where the story wants to go. He said he's maybe going to do, 2 90-minute movies. Maybe he's just going to do one more movie. Maybe 2. You never really know. I'm pretty sure he said it's mainly because he has a load of kill ideas that he wants to do, but, oh well. Until then, though, I am very excited to see where this franchise goes. Let me know what you guys thought about Terrifier 3 in the comments. I didn't talk about every single plot point in the movie. I just talk about the major ones and just sort of, bits which I enjoyed, and poor Chris Jericho. Yeah, those are the reviews, but what about the ranking? Well, let's just do the ranking. So, beginning at last place, aka third, is the original Terrifier movie. It's not the worst, but it just really has no real story. It's just all gore, no, just kills. It's got really nothing for it other than the kills, which are amazing. David Howard Thornton is really cool in the movie, but besides from that, there's nothing really there. Then, in second place, and the second best of Terrifier, is Terrifier 2. One of the, best horror movies we've gotten in a long time, but I do think that that really long runtime and those way too long sequences made the film kind of bloated. I did kind of think that the story was a bit too much. They tried to just introduce all the story and lore in this movie, and they really just shoved it all in there, and it felt like way too much for me. However, in first place, I'm sure none of you are surprised, is Terrifier 3. It is the perfect mix of the first and second movie, continuing the storyline perfectly, setting up a awesome final chapter in whatever 4 is going to be. It's got some really, really gruesome kills, which, as a big gore fan, I loved. And it's really just another amazing addition to the franchise. The story doesn't feel too bloated. It's not as long as the second one. It's still over 2 hours, but it doesn't really feel like it. And Art the Clown really goes there and shows he does not give a damn about who he's going to kill. He'll kill a kid if he wants to. And that is pretty much it for my ranking of Terrifier. What do you guys think about these movies? How would you rank them from worst to best? I didn't include All Hallows Eve on this list because I haven't seen it in a long time, and I mainly just wanted to review the big 3 trilogy of Terrifier movies. I'll maybe get to reviewing All Hallows Eve and All Hallows Eve 2 at some point in the future. But until then, this has been Shay on Shay Rants, and I will see you all next time.